This is an Austin Allegro 1300 Super Deluxe. 37,618 miles. Built in 1974. Complete with a Quartic steering wheel. Interestingly, it's really soft in the centre, so if you have a car accident and you bang your head on it, presumably you won't get such bad head injuries. The boot is really impressive. It's a kind of a weird shape, but you could easily put a body in there. I know that because this is a Mark 1, it doesn't have very good legroom in the back, but that's not really an issue for me. It was sold to me as a usable classic that was roadworthy, but I don't actually think that it is roadworthy. For one thing, after I bought it from the classic car restoration dealer and driven it down the road, I discovered that the driver's side mirror was not attached to the body of the car. Fortunately, I found it in the glove compartment and I improvised, so I urgently need to get that fixed. Also, the fuel gauge doesn't work. I'm not even sure about the structural integrity of the car, but it did get me home. I drove it 298 miles down the M1, the A1, the M56, the M62, the A48, not necessarily in that order. Considering I didn't check the oil, it's done very well to get down here. It drives, I don't really want to say like a bus because I've never driven a bus, but I think it drives like a bus. But that said, the engine is very good. I mean, it's torquey, it's responsive, it's powerful. The gearbox is really smooth. It's a bit quirky, the gear change, but very fluid. And it's a lot of fun, basically. You really feel much more in touch with the road, and you understand why road markings are the way they are. Driving these days, if you see slow on the road and then don't have to slow down in the car that you're driving, it seems like the highways agency are being overcautious, but really those slow markings, a lot of them date back to a bygone era when cars like this were on the road. I'm not going to say it's all down to the era of the car, I think it's the condition of the car as well. But that being said, in my day, back in the 80s when I was growing up, there were a lot of old bangers on the road, and the old banger doesn't exist anymore. It was very common to see cars that were not really fit to be on the road. So I had to drive very carefully. I was using low gearing going through urban areas, but fortunately it was mostly motorway. And when I got onto the final stretch, that was just me, and that was between Newtown and Llandrindod-Wells, which is 27 miles through quite mountainous roads. And the car just kept going. It never ever complained, never felt like it was going to break down. At some point, quite recently, I noticed that there was a hole in the floor. This light doesn't work. I've been provided with a stereo CD player, which plays through this speaker, even though there are speakers here. Well, there's one. It's coming through here, which I think is the original speaker. It sounds really tinny, but again, it's kind of charming. I like the seats. They're really sort of kitsch. And I also like this really old-fashioned seatbelt clasp, whatever it's called. But I've got a real sort of heart and mouth moment at the moment because I don't know if the car is maybe at the end of its life. And if it is, all I can say is it was a lot of fun getting it down here.